and welcome to yet another episode of Buffalo Bills pregame show. And we are proud to bring to you the 10th anniversary of our draft preview. So, woohoo!
It's an
Go
exciting
Buffalo
time.
Bills pregame. We survived. Like life, we have a habit of persisting. Of course, the top news, the absolute greatest thing that has ever happened to the Bills franchise happened this offseason, and it was the breaking up of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Am I overstating it? Like,
No.
has there been a single moment that has affected the franchise more? Maybe Christie, maybe Norwood missing the kick. Maybe like coming down to like one moment like that.
I would say maybe when free agency started that broke up the 90s Bills, that might have been another big moment. But yeah, honestly, with the whole Brady Belichick thing, I thought it was basically a fake story to keep us busy for 2 months. I never honestly expected Tom Brady to leave the Patriots. Like, I remember, like, his last game ever with the Patriots was right after the Bills lost in the playoffs. And they start off the playoff show. Of course, I'm already mad about the Bills losing the playoff game. And then they start.
You?
Yeah, I was upset. And they start the Titans Patriots game saying, "Is this Tom Brady's last game?" And I'm just like, "Oh, shut up! Like, don't waste my time with these hopes of grandeur. That's never gonna happen." And then lo and behold, it happens. And it was dicey there for a couple of days because like the season opened, but then they couldn't get the physical done right away. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, don't tell me he changes his mind after a couple of months because he can't get his physical done.
Oh, his ego would not allow him to fail a physical, though.
You would think so, right? Yeah, imagine if Tom Brady failed the physical and he couldn't go because of that. But he's stuck in free agency, but somehow the Patriots, he passes the physical in New England, but not Tampa. Figure that one out. But yeah, no, this is a huge thing for the Bills. I mean, the Patriots are still a good team without Tom Brady, in my opinion. Like, if you look at their roster's still pretty good. They're just missing a quarterback, essentially. And honestly, I give Tom Brady credit. Like, I know this is kind of a weird segue, but like, he could have stayed there in safe New England and rode out the rest of his career in this safe little environment where he's always done well. But he took a risk, so. As a person who respects people in sports, I actually respect him for doing that. Or maybe he just knows he's going to be bad and he wanted to get some money and not screw up in New England. So maybe I don't give him credit.
To wrap up this thought real quick, some quick observations from me. I'm very interested to see if Belichick and Brady are able to have success without one another because clearly they're comfortable cheating like side by side. And like, did Brady find a coach and be like, look, I want to know the defensive play calls? Like, did he find another coach that is also willing to be complicit in this sort of thing? Or is he like, I'm good enough, I don't need it? And Belichick, will he find another quarterback who is willing to like, oh, by the way, how much do you think it would help if you knew that the defense was blitzing from the left or the right? Oh, that'd help a lot. Well, I figured out a way to let you know. Like, we'll both be able to find partners so willing to cheat. And to finish up my thought, most Belichick thing ever, signs Nathan Peterman, turns him into a Hall of Famer.
Oh, man. Let's say if that happens, this video is going to the Library of Congress. Let's just say it like that.
All right, the next topic we want to move on to, talk about the Bills on our own draft preview. We have already used our first-round pick this season going to Minnesota in return for Stefon Diggs. Some other draft picks traded hands. We gave up a 5th and 6th this year, a 4th next year, and received in return a 7th back. So the first-round pick in Diggs and then some other picks change hands. What's your initial reaction, man? Like, this is huge news, like almost as big as Brady Belichick. The Bills made a huge trade for a superstar in the league. Like, I don't remember anything like this since we signed, I don't know, Clay.
Right. Clay. That's your comparison. All right. So last year we tried to trade for Antonio Brown. So we showed our cards last year. So we knew that the Bills were going to try to get some great player in the league and pretty much trade the farm to get him. And trading 4 picks, -1 because we got a 7th rounder back, I don't know if that's necessarily trading the farm. It's not like the Ricky Williams trade, but it's pretty big. We basically said we want the best receiver we can get. Now, DeAndre Hopkins was traded for a second-round pick and for another player, and they flip-flopped to Arizona for David Johnson. So the way I see it, in terms of the trade itself, I think the Bills could have done better. Like, we could have maybe offered them something in return and not traded away everything completely. But the question is, what did the Bills really want with the first-round pick in the first place? Do we really want CeeCee Lamb? Do we really want Jerry Jeudy? Do we really want Henry Riggs? Do we really think that those guys are going to be better than Stefon Diggs? And the question is, and the answer to that question is, I don't know. But those guys are going to be gone in the first 15 picks. We weren't going to have a chance for them unless we traded up. So I think he's better than anything else the draft offers. So I'm perfectly fine with what we gave up to go get this guy. That's my thought on Stefon Diggs.
Well, we ate our vegetables, right? We suffered through the year of salary cap penalties to be able to make a move like this, because Minnesota, their reason for getting rid of Diggs is not because his on-field performance, it's because he's going to demand a salary a lot larger than they're going to be willing to pay. And so, like, seeing that down the road, they did the right thing and get something out of value while you can.
Right.
Whereas the Bills, having suffered through the cap penalty, but now having a huge amount of open cap space, like, they're going to be to plan and make room for Stefon Diggs being part of the team going into the future as well, which is also a big deal for me. And I think he's going to look really good in red, white, and blue. Like, I really don't say that very often, but I think him and Allen, like, connecting on long passes. Back to you, Jared.
Yeah, the only thing I'm a little disappointed with is I'm not thrilled that he's shorter. Like, we have these 6-foot receivers, all three, or eight, I think Beasley's shorter than 6 foot. I think, like, John Brown's 5'11". So that's my only concern, is that, like, because remember, John Brown was supposed to be that stretch it down the field receiver, right? And he turned into the slot guy, just like Beasley. So are we still going to have 3 slot guys, like, just crisscrossing all the time, and no one's going to be the downfield threat anymore?
Stefon Diggs has been the downfield threat his entire career. You're taking away one of his key abilities, like just his key strengths.
Right, but so was John Brown until he got here. So I'm concerned. So I'm not so much concerned about Stefon Diggs being able to be a downfield threat. I'm more so concerned about, can the Bills step up to the challenge and adjust their offense so we can be a downfield threat? That's the one thing Josh Allen has yet to do.
We're accumulating a lot of wide receivers that are hard to cover. I mean, what Buffalo Bills team had a better group of wide receivers than, Diggs, Brown, Beasley, Duke Johnson,
Lofton.
Reed, Lofton.
Yeah.
So you're all right. A Hall of Fame wide receiver, maybe. I don't know. I think we're
Stevie
looking
Johnson, Donald Jones. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
We missed Stevie for sure, but I think this is the best wide receiver core we've had in a long time. Like, Duke Johnson's like going to be 5th string wide receiver, and look at where we've hoped he'd fit in. So I don't know. Maybe we're making room for injuries, but, like, I don't know. Like, we have a really, really deep wide receiver core right now.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that in a long time. And 2 years ago, we were in a dismal place,
Zay Jones, Kelvin Benjamin. Yeah, agreed.
Yep. So we've talked about Stefon Diggs. What are some other key additions that we've made here to the Bills? I know that you've paid particular attention to Mario Addison and A.J. Klein.
Yeah, so they were basically brought in, and if you go to our lads, I was going to share the screen, but I'm not going to do it right now. Just take my word for it, Internet. A.J. Klein has basically been brought in to replace Lorenzo Alexander at the weak linebacker position. And then, and actually, our lads has Mario Addison starting over Trent Murphy. So basically, he was brought in to cover what we lost in Shaq Lawson. So in free agency, we've already, in a way, filled in the need positions. So So the question ultimately is, are these guys going to be good enough, or could we improve on those positions in the draft? And I mean, honestly, AJ Klein, he doesn't really jump out at me as anything special. So I think we could still do some. We could still look at the linebacker position and see what we could do there possibly in the draft for a starter.
All right. Well, I know that you spent a lot of time putting your draft together, so we'll let you go first here, sharing your draft. Do you want to show the people?
Yeah, so I'm going to quickly show you guys what I came up with since we now have the technology to do that. For the first time ever in Bill's draft preview history, no papers, so we went strictly electronic in this one. So let's take a look at
I missed the papers, but it was a lot of papers.
Yeah, it was a lot of papers. So we are saving the world here essentially. Okay, so here we are in Notepad on my computer, and here is my mock draft. And yep, I'm going through it really quick. So I'm not going to read all these names because you can see them right in front of you. And there's 54 picks. So I did all the way up to 54. And with the 54th pick, I have the Bills taking Julian Okwara out of Notre Dame. He's an edge rusher. And he's actually, I believe he's the 8th best edge rusher on my board. So, and that's what you're going to find a lot at 54 in terms of like offensive linemen, in terms of, or even receivers if we really wanted to go that far, or even defensive backs, like positions that you would think, hey, let's find a starter here. You're going to be looking at your 8th, 9th, 10th best player in the draft, because that's where the draft is really deep this year. Now, I mean, I don't even have a tight end going at this point in this draft. So, I mean, you could technically get the best tight end in the draft at 54. But the problem with that idea is that, are they really going to be as good as you can get? So I see the Bills trying to get basically the best player available at 2, because I think we already have all the need positions filled. And I think there's a possibility they could trade up. That's one of the reasons I'm showing this mock, is because, as you can see, like there's other defensive ends here that you could potentially trade up for, like Terrell Lewis or Curtis Weaver, and then that could possibly happen. But I also, because Brandon Beane has a tendency of trading up, so I wouldn't be surprised if we gave away like a 5th or 6th to move up to get somebody like that, somebody that they're pretty sure that they could start with. T. Higgins was thought to drop to the Bills at one point at 22, and here he is at 46. So we could add another receiver. Who knows? So Lucas Niang was somebody that wasn't in my mock, but he was at 57. Now, as you can see, Julian Okwara, I have at 63 overall in my prospects. So that could be somebody that we could go up and grab, try to get an offensive lineman. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like we're going, if we really want the edge rusher, which is like our top need apparently, we'll stick with Okwara. But if we want to go with somebody that's a starter close to our position in the draft, as our Cleveland could be somebody else as well, then I think that's what we'll do. So, I mean, this could actually be the first, even though I said Okwara because that's our top need, this could be the mock where we finally, or the draft, where we finally go offensive lineman first. So that is my mock draft.
Well, I didn't want to send you mine ahead of time because you have a long history of stealing my research.
That's not true at all.
So hold on one second while I try to.
All right.
And I had trouble with the rehearsal too. What did you say I press?
You have to go down to the bottom and hit share screen.
And then what? No. And which one?
You got to hit share screen.
It didn't work. No, it doesn't work.
No,
it doesn't. It didn't work earlier. It's not going to work. You know what? I'll just email it to you later, okay, Jared? You know,
dude,
I know you're really anxious to see this, but I'll just email it to you later.
You had one job.
You had what? Look I had to put this entire set together. You think that this just happened? And my hours getting my hair to curl. Please, one job.
All right, I better get that email.
So, moving on, any thoughts on what we might do rounds 3 through 7 through the draft?
So for rounds 3 through 7, like I think that was kind of the point I was trying to get at before, is that like in the second round, I really want us to get some sort of a starter, whether it's offensive line, edge rusher, weak side linebacker, something along those lines. And And honestly, I don't think we can get weak side linebacker in the second based on the positioning. So maybe the third, we could possibly get a weak side linebacker that could replace AJ Klein. So that's something that we could look at in round 3. But other than that, like the other rounds, it's a wash, and I honestly don't care what the Bills do as long as they don't pick quarterback. Maybe corner could be another option, like get some corners. I know we just signed Josh Norman, but Levi Wallace has always been kind of a question mark back there. So I think he's a good player, but there's always been like that. Oh, we need to upgrade quarter type mentality. So as long as we don't get quarterback, because I don't want to bring in anybody like a Peterman who's going to challenge Josh Allen for the starting role when it does not need to be challenged. We picked him 7th overall 2 years ago. We need to stick with him until his contract runs out. And I'm being very consistent there. No quarterbacks. So that's my thoughts on 3 through 7 there. What about you? What would you like to see?
Yeah, normally I'm all for all quarterbacks, right? But I guess that just can't be an option anymore. Certainly no wide receivers. McDermott has done a fantastic job of picking out athletes. I'm sure there'll be whoever was the best wrestler available on the board comes into play. I don't know. We tend to draft a lot of players from Clemson. I don't know if that's still a thing.
No Clemson.
Are there? Do you happen to know? Are there any former Carolina Panthers in the draft?
In the draft? I doubt it because they got to get to the league first.
Okay, because it seems we always bring those people in. So I don't know. Maybe any children of Carolina Panthers. I don't know.
Not that I can think of, Randy.
Well, 10 draft shows, and this might be my favorite so far.
Over the boat show?
What?
Over the boat show?
Oh,
when it was 85 degrees and sunny as opposed to now where it's snowing out right now?
Trying to get that thing lined up. What people don't appreciate is the amount of work it took to try to get the city lined up behind that.
Right. Oh, my God. Paddle this way, paddle that way. Yeah. It's been fun.
So, but this one's unique. So thank you so much. We'll be back next week for the draft review, and we'll find out probably what the Bills traded up for you. You're probably right.
Much.
Yeah. So until then, Jared.
Yeah.
I'll figure out how to share that my mock next week. I promise.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds great.
All right. Bye.